Hey guys, very good evening to all of you. Welcome to the video number 500. My name is Ajay Parmar and you're watching youtube.com/c/Ajay Kumar Parmar, and extremely delighted to upload this video number 500 today. Oh wow, this is a great journey. I started this channel 2 years back and never knew that I could come this far. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for your love. And to make this video special today, I'm actually going to talk about if and if or, right? I already have talked about these functions. If you're looking for the basic Excel if functions, how to use them, how to basically write them, what are the logics, what are the true and the false parameter, please go and check out my playlist called Excel if function. But in this video, we're going to take up three questions which are very useful for those people who extensively work in Excel. Maybe you're from the MS field, or maybe you're from the HR field, right? So this is going to be the intermediate level Excel video. And if you're watching the channel for the first time, then I must tell you that all these 500 videos are basically divided into broadly 4 categories. And these are the 4 categories: Excel VBA, Excel Access Frontend, and Access VBA. You can pause the video and you can quickly note down all these sequence, right? Because many of you have this issue that out of these 500 videos, if they want to learn Excel or Excel VBA, you want to learn any specific topic, then how to begin with. So these are all the playlists which I'm sharing right now in front of you. And what you need to do is, the playlist means that basically when you go to the playlist on my channel, this is where you get to see all these different playlists. 48 playlists so far we have created on the automation on the front part of the Excel, covering basic Excel, advanced Excel, and same for the Access. And very soon I'm going to upload more videos on the HTML as well, which is a part of the web designing, right? So this is a very small introduction I wanted to give you. I hope you'll have a great fun. And one thing you can note, when you scroll it down here, you will find a playlist called Excel if functions. Just scroll it down and find it. And if you're new to the Excel, if you do not know anything about the if function, I have already got 7 videos. When you click on the Excel if function playlist, this is what you get to see. Start watching these videos from the in the sequence, right? The part 1, part 2, and so on. So part 1, part 2 going to give you a lot of understanding on these functions. So let's come back to the topic and let's talk about today's exercise, right? So I have here a very small data where I have got the department names, and there is a project cost including there is a project earning out of that, that project, which department has earned how much and on which basically month, right? So we have here MS department, HR department, finance department, analytics department, and then month on month they have their data. Now the question is that what we are supposed to do here is that we want to say that we want to write here in the status, right, that if the earning of each department corresponding to their the cost, and basically corresponding to the every department, if the project earning is less than the cost, then it has to be a loss. If the earning is greater than the project cost, it has to be a profit. So we would like to see the status as profit, and if the earning is equals to the cost, then it has to be even, right? So one thing we have to do here in this particular status, and then we will like to use that the total overall project cost also, so that we can see that if overall project cost and if overall project earning of all these departments, if that is we want to compare, if that is greater than earning is greater than cost, then it has to be profit. Otherwise, if it is not, it has to be loss, right? So because we are going to deal here with just one thing, that we have to do only one comparison, which is that project earning is going to be less than project cost, or if it is the vice versa, then what we are supposed to do, right? In that case, guys, we are going to use the single if, right? Now in the single if, when you write the single if, that how do you write that if function? So basically in the single if, what you write is that you put the logic test here. So what is your logic test? So my logic test is very simple, and it is that I simply say that if this is greater than this my project cost. If earning is greater than my, the cost, then it has to be, you write the comma, and then in the comma, the next thing which you do is you just go and write the, what you want to mention here. So I want to mention here profit, right? So I just go and declare it as profit. Now what if you don't have this F2 greater than E2, which means your earning is not greater than cost? Then you go in the comma and you again write in the value false. Then let's go and check out the another condition, and that is if this my project earning is equals to my project cost, then what I would like to mention here. So then I'm going to mention here that it is basically even, right? Now if these all conditions are going to fail, then what do you want to do? So we are going to write here in the formula bar. So if this is not equals to, if both are not equals to, each other, then definitely I would like to write there as, the loss, right? So this is how you can write your if function. Now first of all, I just go and drag this function over here. Now this is what you get to see, right? Let me just remove this blank line. So we have the loss here, and you can see that because our earning is so less than the project cost, and similarly we have the profit because my project earning from this department is actually greater than my project cost. And if I just go and write here 200, do you see that it's going to change to even? So the formula is actually working. So this is basically, guys, your formula which you should see here, right? Now what happens here in this formula, you need to understand. Now I could write this formula in other way as well. Now first of all, you need to understand that basically for the loss, I'm not putting here any criteria that if the F2 is going to be lesser than the E2, which means that the earning is going to be lesser than the project cost, because the point is if you're going to write these two conditions, that if the F2, which means if the earning is greater than cost, then the formula will stop here. And if they are equal, then what happens, because this is not going to be greater than earning is not going to be greater than your cost, then naturally your if function will go in the value if false parameter, right? Because if executes true and false not at a time, right? Either it executes the true function or it executes the false function, the false criteria, right? So if the profit is not there, I'm going to check the another condition, which is that are they equal? If they are not equal, then naturally this has to be less than this, the cost, and that is why I have written here that this has to be the loss, right? Now somebody could also write this function in this way. For example, I just go and copy this function and I just go and write this function over here. Now I press equals to and press enter. Now you could also write, instead of the loss, you could also go ahead and put the another if condition. That's your choice, but that's not, I would say, the the good way, because if you can manage the entire exercise, the entire task with the two if, there's no need to write the third if. But even having said so, if you want to write it, you can write it. Then what you're going to write? Then you're going to write that if the project cost E2 is greater than my project earning, then what I have to do? Then obviously I have to show that as loss. But remember, guys, if you want to show this as loss, then you have to fill in the false parameter as well, because every if has true and false parameters. So here I'm just going to write here space, that if none of the criteria meets, profit, even loss, no criteria is going to meet, then it should say as false, right? As space actually. So when you just drag this function, you'll get to see the same output. So now the thing is, if you look at the answer, this answer is also good, this answer is also good, right? There is no problem at all. So this is all about this. And now in this as on date, what we can do, I can simply go and I can simply sum all the values, right? So we are going to sum this entire function, right? Now when I'm going to sum this, obviously you get to see here the profit, the total earning, guys, right? Now in this total earning, what I can do is I can go ahead and subtract the entire total of my cost, because we want to find this as on date. So I just go and select that cell, right? Now this is going to be minus $5362, right? So what we can do is we can put the condition here that if the subtraction, if the earning of this entire table, which is my project earning, if that is going to be if if that is going to be greater than, the sum of this project cost, then what it means, then that means that you have the profit, right? And just in case if that is not the case, then what you can do is you can simply go ahead and write that it is going to be the loss, right? Now I'm not here going to write the equals to sign, the even sign, though you can write the condition if the sum of F2 colon F13 equals to sum, E2 colon E13, then let's have the even, because I don't think so that that is going to be there, because after all you're going to calculate the as on date, which will have so many months included, but still you can write it. But I'm just going to write these two conditions, and there we go, and we can see that we have got the loss now here, right? So this way you can write, you can calculate the as on date, and you can calculate this entire basically the month on month status, right? Whether we are on the profit side, whether we are on the loss side, or we are just on the even side. So just for your ease, I'm just gonna remove the equals to signs from here, and I'm just going to show you the formula. So this is your basically guys formula. You can definitely go and check that out, and I just go and remove the equals to sign from here as well, and I just go and minimize this, and this is basically, so these are the basically the two formulas which we have built in here. I hope you can see the screen now, right? So you can use these formulas, choice is yours. I have already explained you. Now let's go to the next question. Now in the next question, so what we have here is that we have again the same data, but this time we have a different question, right? Let me just cut that question from here, and let me just put that maybe down here. Now this is here. I'm just going to paste it, right? So that's how. Now you can read these questions here. So the first question is that if the department is MIS, then the profit means the difference between the cost and the earning has to be greater than $800, right? So guys, that means that basically for the MIS department, we will call it profit only if the project earning has to be greater than by this project cost by an amount of $800. And if the department is HR, then the profit means difference between cost and earning, it has to be greater than $100. And for rest of the department, we will go by the the regular rule that if the earning is greater than the cost, then we will like to have the profit. Now in this particular case, we have a different situation. So what are you going to do here? Now because we are going to deal with the department wise, so what I will do, I will first put the condition here that if the department is MIS and then the earning is greater than the cost by $800, so I'm going to use two conditions here. So you are going to use the if and. Now the question can come in your mind that why I'm actually supposed to use if and not if or, because we want to check for both the criterias, right? Department has to be MIS, and at the same time earning has to be greater than cost by $800. So that's why we want both the criteria to be true. So you're just going to write if and again, right? So I'm just going to put the logic first. So the logic is here. If this D2 equals to MIS, make sure you write it in the double quotes, because all the logics goes in the double quote if it is a text. And then what is the second logic? The second logic is that if this minus this, and just close the bracket, and then we're going to say that if F2 minus E2 is going to be greater than 800. If both the conditions satisfy, then you see that we have to close the bracket. The moment you close the bracket, you get to see here the value if true. So if the value of true is what we want to write there, then we want to write there profit, right? And then just in case if this is not true, then what you're supposed to do, then you just need to copy the same function here again, right? I just copy this entire formula, I paste here, and just instead of the MIS, we will go for the next if, and we're going to write here if the department is HR and the difference between the F2 and the E2 is greater than $100, right? So in that case, again, we will like to see the profit, right? Now in this case, if these conditions also not going to meet, then what you're supposed to do, then the next criteria will come in this, again, the false parameter. So what you're going to write in the false? then you just, again you need to copy the same syntax here, guys, and this time we simply write here that the next department is the finance, right? So I just go and write the finance, and then this time in this particular situation here, we don't want to do any comparison, I mean by any greater than amount. We simply say that if the F2 is going to be greater than your E2, which is the cost, then it has to be profit, right? And then again you go for the next condition, you just go and write here to close the bracket, and then so first of all you just close the bracket here so that we close the logics here. Once the logics are closed, we just going to use this value of true, and then again in the comma in the value false, I'm again going to copy the same function here. Let me just expand this so that we can see this clearly. So this is your function. So here in this particular case, what is the another department? So the another department is now analytics. So I just go and write the analytics here, right? So if the D2 is analytics and the F2 is greater than E2, then again we should see the profit, right? Now I press comma, and you can see here, so I have to close this bracket from here. So I just go and close the bracket, and then I use the comma, and then after comma I have, you can see this, this basically the value if parameter. Let me just put it here. So I'm right now in the true parameter. So what if this also fails? Then you are on the value if false parameter. Well, we will simply put the loss then, right? So if all the conditions are not going to satisfy, then we are actually in the state of loss, right? So this is what we are supposed to do here. I just close the bracket, you press enter. If you get this prompt, we find a typo in your formula. Basically Excel is trying to cover your all the functions. As you can see here, I forgot to put the one closing bracket. That should not be the problem. I just click yes, and that is how when I drag the formula, we can go ahead and check that out. Now why we have the loss here? We have the department MIS, but my earning is too less than the cost, so naturally the loss would come there. Now for example, if I just go and write here, guys, let's say $1,100, then it is still going to be loss for me, as you can see here, because the difference between the earning and the cost is not greater than $800. So if you just go and write here 2,000 only, when you have the the profit, the difference between the project earning and the cost is when we have greater than 1,000, we get to see this a profit. So that is something very important. Let's talk about the HR. Now in the HR we have a difference of what? We have a difference of $200, so we are definitely on the profit because it is greater than $100 as per my the criteria. If I talk about any other department, for example the finance, you see that I'm on the loss. If I just write here 3,100, you see it's going to be my profit. Even if I go for, and let's say I just go and write here 3,023, this is going to be profit because here we don't have any such criteria, right? It's simple rule that if the earning is greater than the cost, we want to see this as a profit, provided the department should not be MIS and HR, right? So this is the formula, a long formula actually. I hope you can see this formula here, and I just go and reduce this, basically the window, and this is the formula. So that's the coolest formula for you guys. You can pause the video and you can build this formula by yourself. Let's go to the next question. Now in the next question, what we have? Now the next question says that if the department is MIS or HR and the month is January, then it has to be always profit. For the rest departments, if earning is greater than cost, profit has to be there, else it is a loss. So this is again a very interesting situation. Now here we are saying that if the department is MIS or HR, but if it is HR or MIS, then the month has to be January, right? So if the month is January, then department can be MIS or it can be HR, right? We directly say that it's going to be profit. So there is no question of doing any comparison between project earning and project cost, right? So how are you going to do that? Now this is very interesting question, guys. So what we are basically looking here is that First of all, we will simply go and write if function, and then we're going to write the logic test OR. So I'm going to create two pairs. The first pair will go in the logic 1 and the second pair will go in the logic 2. Now this is going to be a different if function. Generally we don't use this sort of if function, and this is going to give you a good insight in the if functions, how you cleverly how you can create the OR and the AND combinations, right? Now in the logic 1, what I'm going to write is I simply go and type in AND. You see that AND basically is the another function in Excel which we normally use with the if conditions and with the arrays. Now AND, it is not an if AND. First of all, let me just warn you here, it is if OR, but in the if OR the logic which you are going to write, that is going to be the AND. So basically AND function is that that all the criteria which you write, they are supposed to be true. So here I'm going to say that my department has to be MIS, and at the same time again in this example, the logic 2 which I'm going to write, that I will write here that the month has to be what? The month has to be January, right? Now this is what I will write here, and then after this I close the bracket. Now once you close the bracket, you see that basically if you look at here, this is the logic 1. This function starts from here. This is my entire logic 1 for my if function, but within the AND function, this is my logic 1 and this is my basically logic 2. You can see that it is getting bold, right? So if this happens to be true and then comma, then I am now on the OR logic, or this is going to be true, which is that I'm simply going to write D2 equals to HR, and then the month has to be, which is your G2, it has to be equals to January, right? Now I close the bracket. So guys, this is how you're going to read. First of all, this is the pair. If this pair is true or this pair is true, which means MIS Jan combination is there or HR Jan combination is there, if they are there, any of them is going to meet, then I just close the bracket and write here the profit, right? And what if the combination is not going to be there, which means this also fails and this also fails, right? Then we will go and we will write in the value false. Simply go and then check whether this earning is going to be greater. If your earning is going to be greater than your project cost, then you simply go in the value of true and you write there as profit. If that is not the case, then we simply want to say that loss. So you can see here guys that I'm just going to write this in the value of false. So if you just press enter and let us go and check that out, right? So we have got the profit. So why we have the profit? Because the department is MIS and the month is January. Perfect. The department is HR and the month is January, so definitely it should be a profit. If the department is not MIS and HR, then it has to be greater than, the earning has to be greater than cost, which is not, and that is why we see here loss. And same for the analytics field, 100 is, if I just go and change this to let's say 7777, you see that it is showing me as profit. So basically for rest of the fields, we are simply checking if the earning is greater than cost, or if it is not, then loss. If you just go here and see that one more example, for example, this typical example, we have here MIS and we have here March, right? Now the point is, now why do we basically see here as a profit? It's simple that if the MIS department doesn't have the month of January, then we would be looking for the earning and the cost, and in this case the earning is greater than 100, right? 800 is greater than 100, so that's why we're getting here profit. Even if I go and change this to let's say January, you still will be on the profit, right? You know why? Not because 800 is greater than 100, but because you have a Jan and MIS. Because if you look at the if condition, the first condition which you are writing here for the profit is basically this condition, this entire condition which I'm right now have selected. So there is no question of going in this if, where we are doing the comparison between earning and this cost. I can show you this. Even if I go and write here, let's say just $20, if you think that now it should go and say as loss, you are actually wrong guys, because it is still going to show me the profit, because for the MIS and for the January month we are not at all targeting the cost and the earning, right? So this is how basically your if or function works, right? Now I could also go and write this in the another form. For example, I could have written the if and combinations. I could have done this function by simply using the if and combinations, not using the or. But this is the good way, this is the more, I would say, the advanced way of writing the if function, right? So this is the function in front of you, and you can just go and practice on this particular part. I hope you must have thoroughly enjoyed this video, right? I'll wait for your comments, and guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to click on the bell ring, which YouTube has recently done some changes. If you're not able to see my notifications, then on my channel, on my name where you have the subscribe button, there is a small yellow bell icon there. You have to click there if you want to receive all the notifications, right? So thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Till then, you take care of yourself and rise and shine. Thank you so much, guys. Bye bye.